All right. Ignite presentation. Game time. Here we are tonight, trying to bring it home. This is the culmination of quite a long time in this program. I started in 2022. Taking it back, college with the civil, studied psychology. I love this quote, duty, honor, country. Those three hallowed words reverently dictate what you ought to be, what you can be, and what you will be. So, got a law degree from the Charleston School of Law, and that basically represents my contribution or best way of serving the public is through my legal experience, and that's where I received that training. So first public service experience for about 9 years was at the solicitor's office, the prosecutor's office. Did a lot of interesting work there, tried a lot of cases, held people responsible for doing bad things, but also helped some people too, which segues into the next scene here. Needed a new challenge, so went out on my own, opened up a firm, and it was challenging, helping people who needed help, who were in the criminal justice system, but now this time it was on the other side. But I also am kind of an overachiever, needed another challenge, so I figured, wow, there's a double master's program, that's it. I'm interested in public service and the environment, and so that's how it all began. This is where things started to change my mindset permanently in some regards with regard to the environment and public service. These were new perspectives that I hadn't considered before. So Dr. Nallon, took a couple classes with him, quite a few, 3 maybe, and public roles, public policy, that's where we learned about the role of the public servant, how you can participate in that process, very important stuff. Moving along, managing financial resources, this was probably the first formal financial course I'd ever taken with Professor Bedard, and he was great. Learned about ethical, transparent management of finances. Moving on to the environmental program. This is the MPA Ignite, but I've got to mention this. Took a lot of awesome classes. Basically everything that I'd never even considered before that I wanted to learn. One of the, here we go, lots of photos. Classmates said I needed photos. Selfies. There you go. But water quality testing in Ecuador, that was truly an awesome experience. I recommend anybody getting out of their comfort zone if and when they can. Nonprofit leadership, moving back to Professor Bedard. He did a great job. I love learning about leadership and read a lot of books on leadership, and I like experiencing good leadership too. So that was a great class. Research management, environmental organizations, good old Professor Nallon again, and learned about, this was a really interesting course because it was bridging the gap between the environmental program, the MPA program, and so that was really awesome, and I learned a lot of good skills in that class. Speaking of skills, research methods class. Good old Professor Kwok taught us some really good, useful technical skills, quantitative methods. I learned about that stuff a little bit before, but not quite like the way she taught it, which was great. So, segueing back into public service, always wanted to be in the military, and so I joined, and fulfilling that commitment that I mentioned earlier of duty, honor, country. Moving along, good old Dr. Stewart, teaching some good HR skills and principles. Again, I look for the leadership qualities in all these classes and how I can use those in the outside world, and that was the takeaway from that class, all those skills. In the meantime, I wanted to rejoin full-time public service for a full-time job, and so I got into the federal service and was part of the bureaucracy, which we learned about in many of these classes. Of course, I have to talk about the only recipient of the Most Phenomenal Woman Award, which is Marla. Let's give her a round of applause. She put it all together for us in the capstone class, and I'm thankful for that. Thesis. I've got an interest in space law, I've been learning about it. So for that, I'm going to bridge the gap between the environmental and the MPA, try to create some new international law for Mars. Lastly, I'm going to use the lessons learned from all these programs, do some good work for the Army, and reopen a law firm, but do some work for the DoD. And I just want to thank all the professors and students and classmates. It's been a great time. Thank you.